It be strange, it be strange, it be strange. I've been trying to find a way to make a change. Break the chain, break the chain, break the chains. I've been trying to find a way to break the chains. It be strange, it be strange, it be strange. I've been trying to find a way to make a change. It be strange, it be strange, it be strange. I've been trying to find a way to make a change. Break the chain, break the chain, break the chains. I've been trying to find a way to break the chains.
That video you just watched is the newest camera from Red. It is the Victor or V-Raptor. I just want to talk about that today. But before we get into it, like, subscribe, hit the bell. First things first, this camera is not a replacement for the Red Komodo.
Is not a replacement for the Red Komodo.
This camera cost $25,000.
$25,000.
The Komodo itself is still its standalone camera. They say it's a crash cam for Hollywood. Okay, cool, but we're all using it just like they did with the Arri Alexa Mini. So you have a smaller body with a red sensor that shoots 6K RAW. This new Raptor is an 8K camera that shoots 120 frames per second. 120 frames per second. It's got two SDI ports on the back. It's got a V-mount battery plate. And I'm not exactly sure what type of media it uses. I'm thinking it uses a CFast 2.0, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm pretty sure Red might even have its own CFast brand now. But that being said, the camera is $25,000, brand new. But let's talk about the reason why I'm excited about this camera. I think that this camera is the start to something new, right? Because the Komodo came out, right? We're like, oh, it's a crash cam, blah, 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 right? That's cool, right? But then they make a camera that's 8K, it's a little bit bigger at 120 frames per second and has two SDI ports out, all this extra stuff, right? Additionally, I noticed they had a monitor as well. They have like a starter pack. It's a Red monitor, a new one. I don't know if it will work with Komodo in the future, but hopefully it does. I think that this is the new lineup for the DSMC3 models. I think that Red is gonna stay with these smaller cameras unless they're going bigger for Hollywood. But for the most part, I think they're gonna stay with the smaller bodies. The one thing that really excites me about Red, and I really like about Red, is that when they come out with a new camera, it's normally part of a group, right? Whereas with Blackmagic, and this is, let me start by saying this is not me bashing Blackmagic, right? I love Blackmagic, I love their cameras. They created some great products. The Ursa Mini 4.6K, original Ursa Mini 4.6K, up until the Komodo, one of my favorite. I own the Pocket 4K. I felt like it had a little bit more video-ish style to it, but that 4.6K was amazing. I like the 6K and the 6K Pro as well. I mean, the prices, you can't beat them. What Blackmagic did with the camera industry, saying, hey, we think you can have a great image at a lower price, has changed the game. When I first came into film school, like DSLRs became big, and then Blackmagic showed up. Like, yo, we're making these cameras, right? And it was very inspirational, and I stuck with Blackmagic for a while until I decided to go with this Red Komodo. And then I also have a Red Scarlet as well, which I bought after the Komodo because I needed a second camera, but I wanted something that was similar in look, right? So moving on from that, back to the whole thing. My problem with Blackmagic is not the cameras that they build, but how quickly they move on from those cameras that they build. So when I purchased the Ursa Mini 4.6K, 6 months after my purchase, it was basically obsolete because they came out with the Ursa Mini Pro and the Blackmagic RAW Kodak, which means to me they put maybe a couple more updates out on the Ursa Mini 4.6K after the Pro came out, but it was like to use the SDI solid state drive thing. It wasn't like anything added to the image. It wasn't any like firmware updates as far as like codecs were concerned. And from what we saw, it became prevalent that they were not going to add any like B-RAW or anything like that to the 4.6K. Again, perfectly on them, that's cool. But it really like upset me because it was like I bought the camera, six months later, you're not going to really support it anymore. And that's almost, it was like a $5,900 camera. It was like $6,000. And that's what really upset me. Now Red, they stick with their cameras for a long time, and they support their cameras for a long time. The DSMC2s will be supported for a little bit longer until the DSMC3s are completely out and everything like that. I don't think that it's going to be really soon that all the DSMC3s are out. And I think that the Komodo and the Red Raptor is the first two of that DSMC3 lineup. But yeah, the idea that Blackmagic could just move on from their cameras so quickly and make them kind of obsolete when it comes to new found technology, new things, is crazy. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of concerned about why they dropped the Blackmagic 12K down to $6,000. I don't know if that was to try to sell more before the 8K Raptor came out, but the thing is though, the 8K Raptor again is $25,000, so I don't see that as even in the same competition as far as like cameras. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this line. Is it the new DSMC3? Is it something different? Is Red insane? Or why do you think that this one costs $25,000 versus the Komodo being $6,000? Let me know.